Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for this EarthCorps Campfire chat. While we can't be roasting marshmallows together on Zoom, which makes me really sad because now I'm really craving them, we can still share stories and updates on where we are and where we're headed. And this is intended to be an informal space to connect with our community. It's so great to see so many longtime supporters, alumni, and others joining us tonight. And this will be a great opportunity as well to hear from our new executive director, Tang. I will be guiding us through conversation tonight and keeping my eye on the chat. So feel free to drop in your questions or thoughts as we go along with the evening. Before we get started, I did want to cover a couple of quick things as it relates to using Zoom for those who may not be familiar. Because we are in a Zoom meeting, you'll see some options on the bottom bar of your screen. There you'll find an option with the microphone and camera. We do ask tonight that you stay muted for the purposes of keeping discussion going within our speakers, but we do invite you to turn on your cameras if you'd like to. We'd love to see everyone's faces, but of course, no pressure. I know it is 6 p.m. on a Monday. It's just great to have you all here. If you are interested in changing your screen to have speakers highlighted, you can do that in the upper right corner where you can highlight the speakers as they speak, or you can keep it in gallery mode where you can see everybody's faces. And like I mentioned, you are all welcome to use the chat function tonight, which will also be on the bottom bar of your screen. So please use that. I will be keeping an eye on that. And at the end, we will reserve time to cover questions or any comments from folks that came up throughout the evening. And so with that, I'm really excited to get us started. My name is Quena Batres. I use she, her pronouns. I am the board vice president. I'm also an alumni. And so EarthCorps, like I always say, is very near and dear to my heart. So I'm very excited to be here with you all to have this conversation and discussion. And I'm also really, really excited to be able to welcome our new executive director, Tang, and also our board president, Shanon Tysland. And with that, I will be passing it over to Shanon to get us started with some opening reflections.
Thank you, Kana. And hi, everyone. It's great to see you and be with you tonight. I just want to start with acknowledging that it's been a season of transition for EarthCorps. 2025 has been an interesting year, and it reminds me of this book, Managing Transitions by Dr. William Bridges, where he identifies every transition has three phases: the letting go of what was, the neutral zone where we don't quite know where we're going to be, and then the new beginning, where the freshness starts to take place. And I feel like we're coming out of this neutral zone and we're in this new beginning. And transitions are never easy, but they're definitely necessary. And having the right leadership during that time makes all the difference. And that brings me to Christine. Christine stepped into this executive director role just 2 months ago. And I have to tell you, I've been incredibly impressed. And what struck me most is not what Christine has done, but how she's done it. She came in with this grounded, calm presence that created a sense of stability. And trust me, there wasn't much stability when Christine came in. She didn't rush to make decisions and changes. Instead, she listened. She observed, and she took the time to understand the nuances of EarthCorps, of our people, of our programs, our challenges, and our opportunities. And then, when the time was right, she started making decisions. And I'll even say some bold decisions in the best possible way. Decisions that aren't easy, but definitely necessary to get us back on track and aligned with our mission. In her first 60 days, she's led with clarity and courage. She's made staffing changes that weren't taken lightly. And these are always tough calls, but they were made with integrity and with the long-term health of EarthCorps in mind. And I think what stands out to me the most is she's balancing transparency with vision and urgency with care. She's not trying to do it all overnight, but she's definitely not wasting her time either. And so I've seen her bring a level of partnership and collaboration with the board that's been energizing. She's been open, she's been curious, communicative, which makes it easier for us to do our jobs and, more importantly, to support her in doing her job. This is the kind of leadership you hope for in a pivotal moment in an organization's life: steady, thoughtful, and decisive. And I just want to say publicly, Christine, you've got our full support, and we're really grateful that you are here. So with that, I'll pass it back to you, Quena, and I'm excited to hear from Christine next about what's shifting and where she sees us going.
Thank you, Shannon. That was great. Christine, again, welcome. We are so happy and thrilled to have you here on the EarthCorps team and as part of the EarthCorps family. I'd love to start by giving you some space to share a little bit more about yourself and your journey to EarthCorps, since I know a lot of you may not be familiar with Christine yet, and we would love to just get to know you a little bit more.
Yes, thank you, Kana, so much. And thank you, Shannon, for that wonderful introduction. It's so amazing to see so many of you here. I've met a few of you. For the others I haven't met, I am familiar with a lot of the names I see on screen. So thank you for showing up today. That is another way you show how much you care about EarthCorps. I'm sorry, Kana, I should know this, but what was the prompt? What was the question?
We just want to learn more about you.
Okay,
So
okay.
the hardest question of all. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, it is in some ways. And I think from what I've seen, folks really want to know what drew me to this role and what makes me the right leader at this time for EarthCorps. I come from the Families of Color Seattle, which is a nonprofit in here locally. I was the executive director at Folks for 5 years. And I work on issues relevant to BIPOC families, including advocacy, family programming, arts and cultural events, and ways to engage with the community. And prior to that, prior to moving to Seattle, which was let's see, almost 13 years ago, my whole career was in environmental policy and related field. I have a degree of environmental law. I worked with the Environmental Council of the States in Washington, D.C., and that's the National Association of State Environmental Commissioners. And we were facilitating projects with state environmental agencies and the US EPA. And then I did sustainability consulting in the private sector. And when I moved to Connecticut, I was appointed by Mayor John DeStefano to be the first director of the Office of Sustainability in New Haven, Connecticut. So that's the experience that I bring to EarthCorps. I have the deep knowledge and passion of environmental issues as they affect us globally, but also at community level. And I have the experience of leading a nonprofit successfully. And I think you can see in my bio what I like to do in my spare time. That's pretty limited, but I do like to spend time with my kids, go to the beach, go get them out there picking berries, winter sports when we have snow in the mountains, and just really, really enjoying everything that the wonderful Pacific Northwest has to offer.
Thanks so much for sharing about yourself. And don't worry, this won't be the only time that you'll get to know Christine. There'll be plenty of other opportunities down the road. So now I would love to hear a little bit more about your first 60 days at EarthCorps. What have you been learning? where do you see us going, and what have you prioritized so far?
Yes, thank you for the question, Quena. It was interesting hearing Shanon talk about the transition phases, the letting go, the neutral zone, and the new beginning. I know that EarthCorps had to let go of so much before I stepped into this role, including really people, employees, unfortunately, that there were layoffs that were part of the strategy for EarthCorps to move forward and remain functional and be able to continue its work and prioritize the core. Other than that, I wanted to provide some assurance that we're not starting anything over. The new beginning is the new beginning of my leadership, and there's so much amazing knowledge, expertise, work, and so many amazing people that make up EarthCorps as an organization and as a community. So the first 2 months, as I think Shanon said, a lot of what I've been doing was listening deeply and learning the texture of the organization, from core members in the field to longtime staff to board directors and external partners. I came in with deep respect for EarthCorps and its legacy, and I really wanted to understand where we are now, what's working, where there's pain, and where there's potential that needs to be nourished. And it's true that I inherited an organization in a moment of real transition, and not just programmatically because of AmeriCorps, but also financially and perhaps culturally. There were immediate operational and structural challenges that couldn't wait long, and internal clarity was very much needed. One of the first things that I did in the first month is to bring in an external firm, your part-time controller, and they specialize in supporting nonprofits to increase transparency, improve reporting and tracking, and really cleaning up some systems that have not grown with us as an organization. And it's already helping us to see our financial picture more clearly, and for us it's helping us make informed decisions. We're now in the process of hiring a development manager who's going to start with us in a couple of weeks and rebuilding that team. That's been a very much a much needed team to have functional, and my understanding is that we haven't really had that for more than half a year, and especially at this time of transition, we feel it deeply. So my priority is to rebuild that team with clear responsibilities and support, and better align fundraising with the core of our work and with our mission, and communicate, very importantly, communicate that impact in a way that truly inspires partnerships externally. Here's what I've seen that's truly, I really want you all to feel this in your hearts as a great thing about EarthCorps. We have that raw material, the deep values, the powerful, impactful programming, and a talented and committed team. And what we need now, and what they need now, is clarity, consistency, and direction. And that's where I'm focused. I want EarthCorps to be a place where people know what we stand for, how we work, and how they can plug in, whether they're a core member or staff member or donor, alum, or partner. That's the foundation that we're laying now. And so the King County Strategic Climate Action Plan just came out a month ago. And once I heard about it and I looked through it, it became clear to me that that's the major North Star for EarthCorps. Because it's not just a vision, it's a detailed roadmap with numeric targets for emission reductions, ecosystem restoration, climate adaptation, and community resilience. So the Climate Action Plan lays out specific goals to reduce countywide greenhouse gas emissions by 50% by 2030 compared to 2007 levels, to restore and steward at least 2,500 acres of forests, wetlands, riparian areas, and shorelines, to increase urban tree canopy in equity priority areas by 30% by 2030, to install and retrofit 150 green stormwater infrastructure projects in communities with high flood risks, and support at least 1,000 residents from frontline communities in accessing jobs, green jobs, and climate resilience trainings or youth leadership programs. And these are bold goals that the county has, and they require partners who can deliver not just plans, but actual impact on the ground. And that's where EarthCorps comes in. Our crews are already implementing these kind of projects that the Climate Action Plan identifies as critical climate solutions. We're restoring forests and shorelines that serve as carbon sinks and buffers against flooding. We're building rain gardens and bioswales in neighborhoods experiencing stormwater overflow. We expand tree canopy in communities where underinvestment and redlining created heat disparities. And we're supporting young adults, our amazing core, through hands-on experimental environmental leadership and job training. So we're building that capacity. We are a ready partner in this really bold regional action plan. We're experienced, we're community rooted. We are poised to help King County translate climate policy into site level transformation.
Thanks, Christine. There's so much there. That's so exciting. And just after 60 days, I'm so excited to see what the future holds with your leadership. So let's talk about some big wins. Last time we had a campfire chat, we were talking about AmeriCorps, and I'd love for you to share with us a little bit more about what happened with AmeriCorps and what it means for EarthCorps today.
Yes, thank you, Quena. It's been such a roller coaster for our amazing staff, and the ride with ups and downs was already way past half the time of the ride when I came in. And the good thing that came out of that is we were able to reinstate the Corps because of advocacy, because of the huge win of advocacy efforts that was unified throughout the country, and a deep well of credibility that corps in the network, climate corps and conservation corps, had built over decades. We were able to win this in court. So the reinstatement meant that we're able to ask Corps members to come back. We couldn't force them, of course. They had to opt back in. And it was a way to show, even though it took us through so much hassle and so much turmoil, we were able to get back on track. We did suffer financial shortcuts because of that, not shortcuts, shortfalls because of that. During the period when we didn't work, there's no reimbursement for that. Also, there's some folks who couldn't come back because they had taken other positions. And the AmeriCorps positions are tied to the volunteer, to the person in the Corps. They're not tied to the opening. So we couldn't just hire someone else to take that AmeriCorps spot. So because of that, we're estimated to be over 250,000 short of where we should have been if these AmeriCorps cuts hadn't happened. But I want to name the trust that it took for funders and community partners to step up. Many of you stood by us even when the path ahead was so unclear, and that trust matters so deeply to us. So thank you. This gives us some breathing room. It does not guarantee long-term stability, even though we did receive the letter of funding for 2026 AmeriCorps. We all know what happened just a few months ago. So we are taking that with cautious optimism, and also putting together Plan B, because federal funding is increasingly uncertain and competitive, and we cannot afford to be passive or over-reliant on AmeriCorps. So that's why we're doubling down on our financial resilience, and we're making sure that our core program remains a flagship, not just for restoration work, but for youth leadership and career pathways and climate resilience. So with or without federal funds, we will carry this forward.
Great. That's great news. Shanon, anything you'd like to add there?
Yeah, no, I think it has been a roller coaster, like Christine has said, and the program is the heartbeat of what we do. The core members are, and bringing together those leaders from across the country, and hopefully that international program as well to help restore our environment, build the community, and just grow change makers. It's so essential. So I think that's a win, and we'll take it. And just super grateful to, yes, the Attorney General, the national movement, Serve Washington, AmeriCorps at the national level. It's been a huge advocacy effort, and yeah, very grateful for where we are right now.
Indeed. And Christine, you touched on this a little bit, but I wanted to see if you had any more thoughts to share on the future of AmeriCorps and how EarthCorps is preparing in case the landscape changes in the future again, or just uncertainties for what it might look like in the future.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we cannot afford to be over-reliant on one funding stream, and especially a federal funding stream at this time. And that's why we're doubling down on our financial resilience options. We're expanding donor relationships, strengthening our systems, and exploring partnerships that align with our mission. We will be very honest and apologetic about not having kept in touch with our supporters and our donors the way we should have as an organization. And we will work on rebuilding those relationships.
Thanks. All right. And I just wanted to remind folks that if you do have questions, you are more than welcome to put those in the chat, or even if they're just thoughts or comments, please feel free to utilize that. Moving along, Christine, I'm curious, one of the big questions we're hearing is, will there be a revive this year? And so I'd love to hear from you if you have any insight on what that might look like, or any plans for such events.
Yes, thank you so much for your patience on this, because I know it's been a question that has popped up for the past few weeks, and I needed to gather more information and talk with folks internally and externally before being able to make a decision. So I totally hear you, and I hear you all in the community who have asked me this question. I understand that Revive has been a beloved tradition, a celebration of community and purpose, and a reunion of all the people who make EarthCorps possible. This year, we have to be honest about our capacity and mindful about where we can afford to invest our energy and resources. So we have made the decision to not host a full-scale Revive Gala. Instead, we'll be having a more intimate gathering, a chance to reconnect in person, of course, to celebrate our achievements, to honor the collective effort that's gotten us through this pivotal year. It won't be about a fancy venue or very formal attire. It will be about real connection, highlighting the work that we've done and the community we're rebuilding together. In parallel, we're also thinking longer term about what future gatherings could look like. And we'll keep you posted. I also welcome your ideas and introductions and creativity as we are shaping what's next.
I look forward to seeing what that may look like and connecting with everybody when the time comes. So like I said, we're going to be moving into Q&A time to answer any questions that might come up. So please use the chat. But in the meantime, Christine, I know the Corps is such an essential part of EarthCorps. They have had so much going on. so many transitions, so many uncertainties. And so I'd love if you could share a little bit about how core members are doing with all of these transitions, and where they're at right now.
They've been remarkable, Quena. Despite the turbulence, they've shown up to do the restoration work that's so much needed in our communities. And we've made it a priority to ensure that their experience remains supportive and growth-centered. So that includes more structured communication and consistent support from supervisors. I've had the honor to spend time with this amazing cohort. Actually, last Friday, they had one of their all-day learning experiences, a workshop, and I had the chance to share my thoughts with them after 2 months of being at EarthCorps on what I have in mind, what my vision will be for the organization in its next phase. And they asked me such insightful questions. So I would say I don't want to speak for them on behalf, like to speak on their behalf, but to me, it seems like they're doing well. They felt reassured. They seem to be in good spirits. And of course, they would love to be employed after this core year. So I'd love to, brainstorm with folks on staff and the board and folks in the community, how can we create a pipeline for these future leaders in the environmental field for going from EarthCorps throughout the region and throughout the country and maybe the world.
Thanks for sharing. So a new question that's come in, is EarthCorps in touch with alumni through Zoom calls or a newsletter, especially international participants?
Yes, thank you for the question. I appreciate it. One thing about alumni is that they're such a core part of EarthCorps. They give so much really hope and vision to our current core members and any incoming core members. And of course, we love to hear from our alumni, and would love to know what meaningful reconnection looks like, a local meetup, service day, mentorship network. I would love for them to be able to plug in right now to share their EarthCorps story on social media and reach out to our core grads at the end of the year with job opportunities or come visit us in the field. We'd love, of course, to feature alumni in upcoming communications and events because you're such an essential part of the EarthCorps story. Unfortunately, with the reduction in workforce that EarthCorps went through in April, we also don't have someone right now who holds that function as we did before. And the function being that of keeping the alumni connected, making sure that they get the custom communication for them that they were getting before. And that's definitely a priority for me to make sure that we revive that and they are prioritized. We'll make it happen.
Love to hear that. All right. Another question that's come in is what projects is EarthCorps prioritizing right now?
Yeah, we are prioritizing. I mentioned something about the 3 phases earlier, the letting go, and it seems that perhaps EarthCorps let go of things before I even stepped in, because since I got on board, we have been doing the same thing. Nothing has been taken off the agenda. So we continue to do all the restoration projects, and those are supported by grants or fee-for-service contracts with local governments or from the general support, the general operations fund. And we are continuing the work with community partners. There were some reprioritization that was done before I came in as executive director, and since that moment forward, we have maintained all our commitments to community partners, I think there needed to be some prioritization because simply we didn't have the resources, human or otherwise, to do everything that would have liked to do with the community partners, but we are maintaining those relationships. Yeah.
Great. I have another question, and this one's about your first 60 days. What's been the biggest surprise or lesson that you've learned since you've gotten started?
I think it's interesting. I've been here for 2 months and I'm thinking, well, that shouldn't have surprised me, but that's because I already know AmeriCorps. I think looking back that I didn't expect that there would be so much love in and for this organization. There's so much love, much more than I realized when I took the job. So not just nostalgia, but like a real grounded love for EarthCorps as an organization, for the land, for the mission, for the communities we support, and for the people doing the work. Yeah, and the amazing energy and commitment of our people.
Yeah, that's certainly true. One of the great things about EarthCorps is we're just one big family of love. All right. How's EarthCorps centering equity and environmental justice in this next chapter?
Yeah, so it's part of our mission and vision. And for us, equity isn't a side conversation. It has to be embedded on how we are building forward and rebuilding. And that's from leadership development to where we concentrate our focus. We're trying to lead with that clarity and accountability. So placing environmental justice at the core of our mission. So I see that happening not just as a value, but as a geographic and programmatic priority. So that would mean restoring sites, making sure that the neighborhoods historically overburdened by pollution and disinvestments are not neglected, making sure that our projects do benefit communities on the front lines of climate risk, right, through cooler tree canopy, right? There can be 10 degrees of difference literally between areas that have really dense tree canopy and areas that don't in our same city. So those 10 degrees make a huge difference when we have a heat wave. It can be the difference between life and death, truly. So that, like, having that lens of environmental justice forces us to ask the question, are we showing up where restoration is most needed? And if not, then why? Is it because the funding streams are not built in to automatically get us there? Or are there other reasons? So it shapes how we train Corps members, how we look at the whole area where we do the work, and how we define success.
Thank you for that.
And it's very important for me to say that environmental justice needs to be embedded in what we do as an organization, not just, I said, not just a side conversation, not a side project, not something that one or two people do at EarthCorps. And I will work with the team and with the wider community and with the board on implementing that at EarthCorps.
That's great. Couldn't agree more. All right. So now that you've been in this role for 2 months, I'm curious how funders and community members can support you right now.
Well, thank you for the question. It's for those who are on the call or will be listening to this later as a recording, if you ever thought, how can I help? Really, this is the time. EarthCorps is in a rebuilding season, and your support really shapes our next chapter. So there are 3 meaningful ways, or perhaps 4. 1, make a gift. Every dollar helps stabilize our operations or sustain the core program. Another one is make a connection. Maybe not everyone can make a gift or cannot make a gift right now, but you can make a connection to introduce us to someone who cares about climate, about environmental justice, about about environmental restoration, youth leadership. One introduction can open new doors. 3, please spread the word. Share our work. Talk about EarthCorps. Invite a friend to one of our events. Follow us on social media. Talk about EarthCorps with your neighbors in your circles. Not everything has to be about giving money or asking folks for money on our behalf. And if you're not in a position to do any of those 3 things, if you're not in a position to give or make introductions right now, that's more than okay. You still have the power to uplift our work. You can send us a quick note on social media or even by email, even something that takes 30 seconds, 10 seconds. Keep going. We're proud of you. We see you. To staff and core member finishing a long day in the mud or in the heat, that kind of encouragement can really help them carry through and know that they're appreciated and they're seen. And next time you see one of our crews on a trail or in a park or by the side of the road, if you can, please pause, tell them hi, roll down the window if you're driving and say, thank you for what you're doing. I know about EarthCorps and I'm in the community. Is that moment of recognition really reminds them that their labor is visible and that it truly matters deeply. These are not just gestures, they're sparks. They're really keeping the fire of this work alive, restoring our region, growing our leaders, and really showing what's possible when we as a community show up for one another.
Thanks, Christine. Those are great, tangible call to actions. So I appreciate you sharing. I see Oh, I see in the chat bringing Cruz cookies. That's great. Yes, I can speak from my experience when I was in the Corps that any kind of treat is always appreciated, big or small, cold or or otherwise. Yes, that's a great one to mention. So Christine, for your last question tonight, I'd love to end on a note of hope. So I'd love to hear, what are you most hopeful for right now with EarthCorps?
What I'm most hopeful for or about, I would say really the people at EarthCorps are what's giving me hope, because even in the midst of uncertainty that existed when I came to EarthCorps, I was struck by how committed this community is to each other, the staff, to the work, and to the vision of a more environmentally just future. And I'm hopeful because I see us getting unstuck. We're having braver conversations. We're aligning around clearer priorities, and we're doing all this with intention. And that's really what gives me hope. And it's more than just, empty hope. It's truly reliant on the fact that the foundation is there and it's so strong, those strong values, strong people, and that mission that resonates, that's what really gives me hope every single day.
I love that. Thank you. Well, I want to say a big thank you to everyone here tonight. Thank you for taking time away from your evening to join us, take time to meet Christine and be in community with all of us. It means the world to have your support and to have this community backing EarthCorps. So we know that no matter what challenge we face, we'll have you all there with us, which is really so lovely to know. We have some big work ahead of us, and we're so grateful to embark on this journey with all of you. If you're feeling inspired to jump in and help out, we'd love to partner with you, whether it's sharing our message, connecting us with potential funders, or making a contribution. Every little bit helps. If you have any friends who are EarthCorps curious, bring them to a volunteer event. That's a great way for them to learn more about the organization and build some connections with the way that EarthCorps is. We'll be sure to follow up with a recap after this and some next steps soon. Thank you from everyone here on the speaker panel, Shanon and Christine, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.
And
Oh,
I just wanted to say, I put my email in the chat for the folks that haven't had yet the opportunity to meet and who are here tonight. Please feel free to contact me. I would love to hear about your experience with EarthCorps.
that's great. Thanks so much,
Thank you
everyone.
all.
Have a great night.